Defense looked really good today. Very active up front, playing with a lot of speed. Give me an assessment of today's, kind of 11-on-11 action.
Well, no doubt during spring ball it usually goes back and forth and back and forth, and offense got in us a little bit yesterday, and I think today the guys just made a decision that they wanted to be physical and they wanted to be fast up front. And usually, if those guys up front, the D line, the linebackers start playing with a lot of speed, it carries over all the way through the defense, and we just kind of got on a roll today, and they were doing a good job with their hands and doing a good job with their feet and playing with a lot of enthusiasm, and it did. It carried all the way through the back end of the defense, and for whatever reason, we were able to maintain it today. Now, we got to figure out why and do that every single day because it's a lot of fun to play like that. Now, I know that, like I said, it'll bounce back and forth. The offense probably have a great day Monday. Who knows?
Some interesting looks up front. Seen quite a bit of Myquan Stout and Markel Clark on the field together. And it's not unusual for you guys to move guys up and down the line into different spots. But, I know Brian, when I talked with him on Monday, said getting the best 11 players on the field at the same time is a real priority. So I imagine we'll see some more experimentation, some different combinations on the field.
There's no doubt. What we try to do in recruiting with D linemen is we're trying like heck to get guys that can play defensive end or play nose. It's kind of hard when you get a guy that's just pigeonholed into one thing. But if I got a guy that can do both, it makes it a lot easier. So the more I can cross-train some guys and see if they can do it, great. If they can't and they go back, then they know what the other guy beside them is doing at a higher level. It's going to help us regardless. But there's no doubt the goal is to have the best 11 on the football field. And up front, we need to have the best 3 on the field all the time. Now, as you know, we rotate a lot of guys, so it's never going to be, 3 guys out there for 80 snaps, no doubt about it. But we're just trying to find the best combinations. Myquan nose guard. He's been doing it now for 3 years. And he's played a little end. That's what he came in here as. So now if I can get him out there and use him as an end and then still put him in nose in certain sets and certain things, it just makes us more versatile and more competitive, I think.
You lost a couple of very productive defensive ends in Caleb Fuller and T. Sims.
No doubt.
So, as you're looking at the group that's coming in behind them, how optimistic are you about being able to eventually replace that productivity?
Well, those 2 guys, T. Sims was one of the most explosive players I've seen in the 6 years, going on 7 that I've been here. Just explosive, powerful, quick twitch. And Caleb Fuller is probably the most consistent all-around player that I've seen over the last maybe again since I've been here. I mean, he was a great player that did things right all the time as a 2-year starter. So he's going to be very difficult to replace them. But unfortunately for us last year, and fortunately for us next year, we didn't have T those last 4 games, which was awful because he was such a great player. But it did allow Ocon, to be a full-time starter and to work and get some of those reps. So I hope that'll translate into him being a more productive and more experienced player moving forward for his senior year. Obviously, Myquan Stout has had umpteen reps. I couldn't begin to tell you how many he's had over the last 3 years as a starter. Last 2 years as a starter, the 3rd year coming up. And then some other guys will have to develop into that spot where Fuller is at, whether it be right now, Elijah Dirasuba is the guy that's really doing a great job. And, Markel is playing great. Markel had quite a few active reps last year as well. And E.J. Scott's emerging into a heck of a ball player. A couple of nice surprises. Jermaine McDaniel has his fire got lit today. He was a little deer-eyed the first 2 or 3 days, and then today his fire got lit and he started making some plays that looked like he knew what he was doing. So that's going to be a nice issue. Tommy Dawkins has had a great spring in the 4 days we've been out here. So there's a lot of guys. Demetrius Taylor, I can't forget his name. Holy smokes, he's been tearing it up as well. So it's a long list of guys that they're going to have to compete their tails off. Shoot, another one that's had a great spring is Spurlin. Caleb Spurlin. So I'm sure I've forgotten a few, but it's a good problem to have, but we got to sort out who's the best, and they better learn to compete, and they will, and they do. And at the end of the day, we'll come up with, I hope, a 3 deep like we usually have that can rotate in and give us a chance to win at all times.
Good deal, Mark. Appreciate it.